This is Season 6 of the Team Roping Journal's podcast, The Score. With over 2 million downloads, this is where Team Ropers talk. Today's episode is brought to you by the Centerfire 2 by Fastback Ropes. It is the rope of choice of Clay Tryon, who has had a few head horses of the year himself. I'm going to tell you more about the Centerfire 2 at the commercial break. Hey everybody, welcome back to The Score. I told you I was going to have an episode for you this week. It's kind of a bonus episode, but I had to talk to a bunch of the headers in the top 15 to figure out which horse they think ought to be the head horse of the year. So we talk to Andrew Ward, Coleman Proctor, Dustin Egusquiza, Nelson Wyatt, Rhen Richard, Tanner Tomlinson, and Tyler Wade on today's episode. And they all kind of weigh in on a very different year in the head horse game, you know, and I think you'll hear a lot of these guys say that in years past, there were horses like Riley Minor's Bob, who has been out this year. Horses, of course, like in the past, there was Walt, there was Jewel. There were these head horses that just stood out heads and tails above everything else. This year, it's been a different year. Not that there weren't good head horses, but the setups were different, the demands were different, and people switched around a lot. So the conversation is good and interesting this year as far as what horse really deserves the Horse of the Year title. So we will kick off today's episode talking to Nelson Wyatt about what horse should be Horse of the Year. Well, give me the rundown. What horses have you been most impressed with this season and why?
Well, I've been buddied with Clint all summer, and I really like his bay. He seems like he scores good and runs hard and gives him a chance every time.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have said that horse because he's just that is such a cool horse. Yeah.
Yeah, he's really good. And then, the second horse, who would be? I think the horse that Dustin's rode this summer at the two headers, the bay he calls Cajun, I think he's been really good for him.
Yeah. Yeah, he really likes that horse. That horse had been hurt. I think he hurt his stifles and yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he just got him back right before we left and he's been really good.
A couple people have thrown your horse's name around when I've talked to. It was actually a lot of healers told me that they liked your horse when I was talking to them before we started recording. They said that your horse should be in the running. Tell me, remind me, you just got that horse this winter. Am I right about that, or was it like this last fall? No,
I bought him right after the finals in 20, so I bought him in January of 21. Gotcha.
So give me his story, his backstory.
I bought him from a buddy of mine, Colt Fisher. He was I think he was 12 when I bought him in 09. Yeah, he's 14 now. And he hadn't been rodeoed on a whole lot. And I bought him and just really loved him. He was a lot different from my other gray, so it took me a little bit to kind of get with him, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like this year, it seems like he's gotten a lot more solid and tries to help a lot more.
And how many rodeos did you ride him at, would you say?
I'm going to say that I've taken him to, out of the 75 that I'm going to go to, he's probably going to 65 of them.
Gotcha. Are you getting close to 75? Like, are you going to be able to have quite a few still that you can get to?
I don't know how many I have left. I don't have just a whole lot left.
Mm-hmm.
I probably got 7 or 8 left if I had to guess.
Good luck.
I appreciate it.
Are you guys in? Are you in Puyallup?
Yes, I got in, but
no, I know. You always think I don't know things. I just meant, are you like physically like playing golf in Puyallup right now?
Yeah, we're right outside of Puyallup.
Gotcha. All right, all good. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Good luck. Bye. All right, next up for you, I have Andrew Ward. It's funny. The heelers have pretty much all said somebody else's horse, and the headers pretty much all said their own horse, which maybe I called headers whose horses should all be in the running. I don't know.
Nelson's is good, and I don't know which one Dustin was. Which one was he saying?
Cajun, the one that he's just been riding recently, that just got sound. This last.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Nelson's over. That makes sense because he's rode him a ton, but I'm probably going to put Biscuit up and vote for him again because I've rode him a ton. We won majority of our money, but I feel like Nelson's. He's probably rode him at almost all the rodeos and one ton, so I'd probably vote for him. Tyler Wade, I think he talked about putting his up for, and he said he's been riding him for the majority. And then I just think it's about the guy that wins the most, so that's obviously a really good horse that Wade's on. He's done, and he does all of his winning on one horse. Dustin rode that bay and won a ton. He's rode his roan. He split it up, so it's kind of hard to say.
Yeah,
I think he likes the one the best, but
yeah.
I like his roan better than I like that other one.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like your style is unique enough that maybe other people wouldn't vote for you because they wouldn't ride your horse because your run is just so very specific and maybe I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I think everybody I talk to loves Biscuit, but they've seen him, be wild, and he's kind of matured and gotten into more of a easier type horse, probably, you would say. So, but I don't know. I don't know what people really think. They all love him for me, but I don't know if they would ride him or not. So
yeah,
I think he's awesome. That you can go to so many different variety of events and have a chance to win on them.
Yeah.
And so
yeah,
I'm biased to him, but then I would probably vote for Nelson next because he rode that one horse all year, and I really like that horse. Mm-hmm. And then Wade probably after that.
Gotcha.
If I remember to vote, I didn't vote last year.
That's
Biscuit
terrible.
He won second, and I didn't vote.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. I didn't know you didn't vote.
Yeah, I tried to remember. I just it's on the email, and I don't. It's like the day he came and went, and they were like, "Oh, Biscuit won second," and I was like, "Shoot, I didn't vote," which I don't even know how the voting's done.
It's so funny because I asked a couple people if they had heard yet about Horse of the Year and when the stuff was going to all come out, and everybody told me they hadn't heard anything. So I emailed the PRCA and got all the dates for everything that's going to happen. And I'm pretty sure I'm just going to set reminders to send everybody in the top 20 or however many of y'all vote.
Oh, good.
Text messages because I got it all. And every single person that I have talked to for this podcast, for both the head horses and the heel horses, has pretty much been like, so when do we vote? Do you know how do you nominate? Guys who had horses that definitely should be in the voting were like, how does that even work? I'm like, oh, God.
Yeah.
It's all good. I'm going to send you the dates because I had it copied and pasted into my text messages from other people. So you have it all ready to go.
Good. Well, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Andrew.
All right. Have a good one.
You too. Bye. It wouldn't be a good Headers wrap-up episode without talking to Coleman Proctor, who is always willing to chat with me about just about anything. And so this is Coleman Proctor. Give me your take on which one you think was the best horse this year.
And that's a great question. There's been some good ones.
Yeah? Which ones do you think have been good?
I never like bragging on my own herd because it's everybody else's job, not mine. But I've been very proud with how my chestnut horse Mills has done all season.
Yeah.
Big horse. And then, because I think a horse of the year is one that they ride all the time.
Yep.
And like Clint Summers' Bay has been phenomenal.
Yeah, that's definitely one that people have said not off the record, but just in text conversations as they were thinking about who they were going to say, that name has come up.
Yeah, that horse has been, man, he's just been incredible. And then I think you really got to look at, I know Tyler Wade's a reacher, but for what his bay gives him all the time, you know?
Yep. Because he rode him almost. I mean, I think he said like 65 of 70 rodeos or 60 of 70 rodeos. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I like it a lot. And then let's see. I'm trying to think. We're trying to get on the list here. Like Tanner's jumped on a bunch of different ones. Trader's always has good horses, but he hasn't really just had one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One stand out.
Yeah, he splits it up quite a bit.
And like Riley Minor, the one he bought from Chad, that horse was looked really good with Ralph.
People have said that like there have been some really amazing horses over the years, and maybe there isn't one this year, or there just isn't one that everybody could get on and ride theoretically, like they could have Bob or Scooter or Walt or like those amazing ones.
Yeah, I tell you what, and I think what's changed a lot is the setups are so much different now.
Mm-hmm.
That there's different horses required at different spots, so you get a lot of great, like a better horse than Heisman at the national finals. But there are a lot of better horses at Salinas. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the versatility, like horses are getting more specialized, and there's just more weapons for each setup that we go to. That's why you see so many guys riding different animals at different setups. So I think that's something that you need when you have a guy like Riley, Clint Summers, where they ride those horses all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they share all of them. I think that's what makes Horse of the Year so special because, like, for me, I've got probably the best number one type horse that I've ever had. And he's really come a long ways all summer, and he's done great in all the different setups. But I also didn't feel comfortable enough to ride him at Calgary.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ride him here at the Tour Finale in the first few. And then when times get really tough, I'm going to bring in Admiral in case I need to go faster. So there's, to me, those are the two best horses because those are the ones that the guys have rode the most. And they rode them in all the setups, and they've looked just as great at the short scores as they had the long scores.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a good answer. That is a good answer, sir.
So those are my two favorites, I think.
Thank you. Today's episode is brought to you by the Centerfire 2 by Fastback Ropes. The Centerfire 2 is an all-nylon rope with core construction. The Centerfire 2 will appeal to ropers who like the feel of a bigger, heavier rope. It's got some large diameter, reduced body, and no bounce. It is the rope of choice for Clay Tryon, who won Horse of the Year with his Great Horse Dew, with his Great Horse Thumper, and of course he was part of the Walt era of Horses of the Year. So Clay Tryon won a lot with the Mach 3, and now he's been winning with the Centerfire 2. You can learn more about it at fastbackropes.com. And now we have Dustin Egusquiza, who gives us the rundown on his horse and the other great horses on the rodeo trail. Tell me, which horses have you been most impressed with that people have been riding this year? Who are you thinking should be in the nomination pool for Horse of the Year, and who do you think should win it?
Lightning's horse is just as good as he was last year, which I know he's not going to make that far on it.
Mm-hmm.
Can't really say that horse shouldn't be in the conversation when he's only riding as this year,
Yeah.
And Nelson's gray, because he's rode in that literally every rodeo, and he's good in all the setups. And Clint Summers Bay, same thing. He's rode in every rodeo except the wintertime.
Yeah, he's so good.
And Cajun, I was going to nominate him.
You are. That's good. Somebody else has said Cajun, too. Like, they said that you've ridden him that he's been lights out since you got him back.
Yeah, he's good in every scenario, every setup. You know, the only rodeo he's messed up on was the first rodeo back. I rode him at Sisters, and that was his first rodeo back since Salinas the year before, and he was a little bit tight there. But after that, he's been literally flawless every time I've backed him in the box. So I feel like he deserves to at least be in the running. You know, I mean, he's just because he's good at Cheyenne or wherever. I went 3 on him 4 times this last month, and ride him at the NFR. I think he definitely deserves to be in the conversation.
Yeah, do you feel like, I mean, obviously this is not a novel question, but a lot of you guys who can really use your ropes, your horses get overlooked quite a bit. But I guess how would you respond to that as far as the way your horse works?
Yeah, you put Riley Minor on my horse. I think my horse wins horse of the year, you know, for sure, just because he's going to get a lot more recognition. But half the time I'm reaching, so nobody's ever like, wow, look at that horse. But then on the same hand, I reach 20 times in a row, and then like Dodge City short round, I need to be 7, and I just smoked right to him and turned him to be 5. Like, he's just an outstanding horse, but it doesn't really, probably not going to get the recognition some of them get just because it gets overlooked the way I rope sometimes.
Yeah. Do you have to do anything on him between, like, when between having to be 3 and then having to be 7? Do you duck off to practice pens and get him right, or does he stay right?
I have been roping a lot of jerseys, not just like going minimal speed, like just loping before I left the house, just trying to make sure he is sound. And then he was a little tight at Sisters that day, and I took him to Jade's house in Nevada, and I run 5 or 6 steers on him because I was mad at him, and I freed him up a little bit, and then that was the last time I practiced on him.
Wow.
That was in June.
That's awesome. Especially as fast as you guys have had to go lately. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it takes a special horse to be able to do that. I've only done it, 5 or 6 times this year where I am in a position to just go close and catch the steer, but every time I do, he just smokes right to him, and he's about as fast as one gets. Also, he can fly.
Remind me, what's on his papers? I've forgotten now. Should he fly? Is he bred to fly?
Yeah, grandson, dash for perks, dash for cash.
Oh, yeah. Which
perks
is
on fire and like king bred on the bottom.
That's cool. That's not exactly what you think of when you think of a Reacher's horse. So I don't think I realized or remembered that he had that much run on him. That's cool.
Yeah, he can really fly.
Very cool, sir. Well, good luck at Puyallup. All right, I tapped Tanner Tomlinson in between rounds at Puyallup, so here is Tanner Tomlinson. Have you given it some thought? What horses do you think deserve to be in the running for Head Horse of the Year?
2 or 3, I guess, all year I've kind of watched that I've really liked.
Tell me about them. Which ones?
I really like Eric Rogers Sorrel. He's been riding everywhere. He's probably one of my favorites.
Really?
And, yes, I love that little Sorrel. He's a good little rascal. And then I like Dustin's horse Cajun. He's one I've been watching. And then I like T. Wade's Old Bay horse. He's been doing good. And then I'm throwing my gray horse Freightliner in there. But those 3 have really stood out to me all year long.
And those are 3 kind of different horses. Tell me about what you like about each one of those horses. Why do you like Rogers? You're the first one to have said Rogers horse, so tell me, what do you like about that one?
Man, he scores and leaves really flat, scores really good, and like if you can kind of leak and do whatever on him, he just seems really easy for short scores. I mean, they went 3-7 at Lewiston last night, and he looked so good. And then Dustin, he's dominated on that horse all year long. He just looks like he'd fit me. I like his style and the way he is. And then I would say Lightning's great, too. Of course, I know he won it last year, but that horse is always unbelievably good. And
T. Wade's Bay, is that one that you think you could ride?
Yes, yes, I think I could really do good on him. I've liked him, and he's kicked butt on him all year, too. I really like that horse.
What about, so you weren't on Freightliner last night, right? I just happened to watch.
No.
Why? Is he okay?
Yes, he's good. I actually sent him home to get with my new horse, Marshall, that I bought a few months ago, and I was kind of bouncing back and forth. So I just sent Freightliner home to rest, and I've been riding it. I really like this one for the short scores. He comes up the walls really good in short little buildings, so that's why I just sent him home and rode this one there.
I gotcha. Yeah, I wondered when I saw you on something different. I was surprised because you've been on Freightliner. How many rodeos have you ridden Freightliner at this year?
I rode him at all of them except probably 8 or 10. I rode him all winter. I rode him everywhere until like mid-July. I started riding Marshall.
Gotcha.
And then actually I had a bay horse out here that I rode some too. Like at 3 rodeos, like Killdeer, Belfouche, and somewhere else I rode him at, and that was it.
You guys did.
Oh, Mandan.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, thank you.
I think you've probably heard a little bit about Tyler Wade's bay horse, and so I'm going to talk to him about his horse and the other horses that he thinks are tops on the road this summer.
Tyler, tell me, what horses have you been most impressed with this year? It can be your horse, or it can be horses that other people rode.
I mean, there's a lot of guys out there with good ones, obviously. And now it don't matter. Either end, if your horse isn't good enough, you're not going to make the finals. You can't rope your way around them anymore. So nobody really has a bad one, especially the guys that are winning a lot. I don't know which one stands out the most. I feel like mine has worked as good as one can work. If we've been 3 quite a bit, and then like I rode him at like the Bald Tomlin rope and then won it, and I broke the barrier. It was my fault, not his, to be winning it after 4 at the Spicer Grip. So, I mean, he's pretty good at whatever setup. I rode him from Cheyenne to San Antonio or wherever the setup was. I rode mine the whole time, but I don't know if there's necessarily just one to pick out the rest that's better than all of them.
Yeah. How many rodeos did you ride yours at?
We've been to 70 so far, and I bet I rode mine in at least 60.
Has he been that good at every setup since you got him? Or do you feel honestly, like you've had him for what, 3 years now? 4 years now?
Yeah, I've had him for what's going on 4 years.
Yeah.
I feel like he's better the more you ride him. So he honestly gets a little fresh and stuff if you save him and don't ride him as much. He feels like he gets dialed in the more you ride him, and he kind of does whatever you want him to do. I honestly feel like he's getting better with age. He's 16, and he seems to just keep doing good and let me do whatever I need to do, whatever the setup is.
Like, have you ducked off to any practice pens this summer and tuned on him in between like a short score and a long score, or has he just adapt? Do you have to ride him any different if you're changing setups?
No, I feel like you just kind of got to score and ride regardless. He kind of does whatever. If you ride him right, he does as good as you want him to do. But I do think that, like, if you go to the jackpots and you know, after you've been 4 on or thrown to be 4 10 times in a row, and then you go to the rope and you might have to make sure you're kicking a little more and hustling him up there a little more. That's probably it. But as long as he's getting rode every day, you don't have to practice on him or tune him up or nothing.
And I've seen, like, when you've stayed at my house, you make sure or at least you've always made sure your horses were exercised every day too. Like, when you have days off, does he get rode every day, or what is his, I mean, those were different horses, I guess, at the time. But do you ride him do you exercise him if you're not roping on him?
Yeah. I don't really feel like he doesn't really do much wrong, so I don't feel like sometimes practicing on him feels like a waste, but I'll at least try to exercise them, and whether it's on the walker or ponying them or just loping them a little bit, just getting them out and doing something with them every day. I feel like all your horses is good for them, even if they've been hauled a lot. Just get them out of the stall after that, move them around, and just kind of keep them going.
What do you do to keep him sound? Because he's like, I think when you got him, you couldn't or he wasn't exactly perfect when you got him, like as far as soundness goes. What is his program like for health throughout the summer?
Well, the first day I owned him, he started limping right away, and he had a chip in his ankle that we had to get removed.
So give me your horse. What do you do to keep Spur sound on the road?
I mean, the obvious answer is Equinety. That's
Obviously,
been
yes.
a game changer for us and our program tremendously, as far as the overall care for them and bringing them back if they need something or anything. We do that. We make sure if they ever get sore, we make sure they get injected or whatever else they need. But honestly, just taking care of them in general. If there's a horse that looks like he lacks anything, that's when we start with OE nutraceuticals.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's fat or their top line doesn't look like it needs to be or whatever, we'll give them a line from OE or whatever. He gets that every day. It's a fat supplement too. And these horses are like, it seems like head horses and barrel horses now, they're all hot. They're all kind of racy. And if they're not a little bit on the muscle, they're not fast enough. It doesn't seem like if they're really laid back, they don't feel like that you got enough horse underneath you. So it's hard to keep them fat on the road. So making sure they got hay in front of them at all times and grain, and then all their supplements to go along with whatever they need. All of our horses get a line just because, like I said, they're usually it's a fat supplement to help keep weight on them.
And an episode about great head horses would not be complete without Rhen Richard. Rhen is one of our resident head horse experts over at roping.com. I can't wait for you guys to see his series on making great head horses. It's fixing to come out here in the next month, and it is absolutely stellar. You've never watched such long, detailed footage about making a great head horse. So Rhen knows a thing or two, so it was absolutely worth tapping Rhen for the last interview on this episode of The Score.
Have you given thought to what horse has been the best this summer? Or this whole year? Not just this summer, this whole year.
Yeah, I mean, I think T. Wade's horse is a pretty damn good horse.
Mm-hmm.
He fits what I like in a horse. I mean, he wants to stay on his butt, and it seems like he lets T. Wade, do his deal and be aggressive. And even when the horse gets, I'm not saying he gets tight ever, but when he does his deal, he seems to stay on his butt enough where he's easy to heel behind.
Mm-hmm.
I think that horse would probably be my pick. I don't know. This year's been such a different deal. We hadn't really roped strong steers anywhere like normal.
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion, the barrier's been shorter than normal. So, I mean, your horse that's usually horse of the year, in my eyes, is something that, I mean, obviously you got to be able to ride them everywhere, but it's usually that horse that gives you a chance on the stronger end of the steers, but still lets you win on the good ones.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, this year I feel like a horse that really wants to score and really run and be strong has more or less been in your way, where usually in prior years that's kind of what you wanted, something that would stay running and free and would go let you make that run 2-3 swings down the arena. Where this year, like my horse, I'll just use him as an example. In my opinion, I think he's one of the better horses, but it's taken me till now to get him screwed down enough to feel like I can win on a foot under barriers where the steers don't run a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, it's been a different year, but if I was to pick one horse, I think T. Wade's horse has been probably the best.
And I don't know if, because of the traditional thought of what a horse of the year is, if people will think of T. Wade's horse because T. Wade can use his rope, because they were fast a lot, but he rode that horse everywhere. Like, I think he said 60 to 65 rodeos, and, stayed at the top when they connected.
No, he's
He's a good horse. In my opinion, when a horse can stay in the body frame that horse stays in, even when you're in the middle of the summer and towards the end of the year, and they're still like hitting their butt and keeping their shoulders up when things are happening fast and letting him be 3, like that's a special horse.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty easy for a horse to get doing the wrong things this time of year, with their shoulders when you've been ducking them all summer. And it takes a horse that conformationally that's built to do that, and then one that, naturally moves that way.
Yeah. And that horse, I mean, the first finals T. Wade rode that horse at, he was so exceptional, and he's just gotten more. They've gotten more together throughout the year too. Like, he was so good at the Thomas and Mack, and now, they won the Bob Tallman Open in Reno where the steers were strong, and y'all had to run him down quite a ways. So, I mean,
well, it's almost like sometimes horses like that, like T. Wade and I were talking about the other day at Puyallup, like, it almost makes those horses better to ride them at the Thomas and Mack, because it like teaches them that they need to gather up and have it on their mind quicker. But a horse like him still moves the right way to go jackpot on.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What horse are you going to take to the Thomas and Mack this year? Have you thought about it?
Yeah, I'm going to probably I'll have 2 horses there. I'm going to take Dietz, the horse I've rode off and on this summer, the horse I won Houston on, and I rode him a lot in Canada this summer. I didn't really ride him down here a ton just because of the setups. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel like he was that horse that was going to let me be 3 on slower steers. He wants to be pretty freewheeling, but I feel like I'm going to take him. He's gotten a lot better at the end of the year about reading the cow and letting me go fast, and then I'll have my old horse, the horse that I've rode there the last couple of years.
Gotcha. Very good, sir. Well, thank you, Rhen.
Well, that is a wrap for today. Thank you all for listening, and we will be back with you next week.